The next morning, when Daisy woke up, Roman was no longer on the bed. She rubbed her eyes and sat up, looking for him outside. The living room was very quiet, but there were sounds coming from the kitchen. Daisy walked over quietly and saw Roman wearing an apron frying eggs. The oil in the pan was sizzling. Daisy was dumbfounded and looked at Roman with admiration. He was a superhero. Roman smiled and called her to him, and the girl obediently walked over. Roman bent down and kissed her lightly on her lips. "Good morning." They had now been together for a day and 2 nights, but Daisy was not quite used to this kind of frequent intimacy. She blushed and moved away, standing aside and watching Roman put the poached eggs on the plate. There was a sound from the toaster over there, and the bread was ready. Roman went over to put the fluffy slices of bread on a plate and brought the plates to the dining table. The fresh milk in the refrigerator was poured into the long glass cups, and a delicious and nutritious breakfast was ready. She went to the bathroom to get fresh, and he followed. Roman smiled but did not say a word. He soaked Daisy's towel in the water and spread it out for her. Daisy took it and wiped her. Then she turned to him and said in a kind tone, "Roman, I'm not a child." Roman smiled and touched her head. "I know, but you have been deprived of a childhood, right? Let me take care of you for a while, please. Does taking care mean accompanying me to the washroom?" He winked. "For now, yes." When Daisy was combing her hair, Roman picked out the clothes for her and arranged them on the bed. When she changed her clothes and came out of the room refreshed, Roman looked her up and down and smiled like she was some prized possession he owned. Daisy saw him looking at her like that, and her shyness returned. She quietly sat down to eat. After Daisy finished her breakfast, he put the plates away in the kitchen. Roman also changed his clothes, and the two went out together. Daisy was carrying her college bag. Roman took her hand, planting a gentle kiss on the back. Downstairs, Matt was standing by the car waiting. Seeing Roman coming out with his arms around Daisy, he stood transfixed in his place. His eyes were wide open, and his mouth hung open too. Daisy saw Matt and felt embarrassed. She tried wriggling away from Roman's embrace. Roman also looked at Matt and said, "What do you think you are doing?" Matt came back to his senses and hurriedly opened the car door for them, but he was still too dumbfounded to speak. Without Roman's instructions, Matt drove the car directly to the college. Roman held her face and kissed her. "All the best." "Yeah." Daisy nodded and stepped out with a blushing face. Daisy was still a little nervous after not coming to college for the past few days, but the principal saw her at the door and greeted her kindly. "Morning, Daisy." "Morning, sir," she greeted and moved towards the classroom. Sitting in the car, Roman never took his eyes off Daisy's back. He watched her walk towards the college gate. With a warm smile, he said to Matt, "Let's go." When Daisy entered the classroom, everyone's eyes were on her. She hadn't come for a few days, and they thought that this weird girl would never come. She appeared inexplicably and disappeared without any signs. But now she suddenly appeared again. No one knew why. The teacher was kind to her, though, and helped her with a seat. Followed by so many eyes, Daisy was a little flustered for a while. She quickly settled in her seat. Emily, who always spoke to her in a contemptuous tone, asked, "Daisy, why didn't you come to school?" Daisy hesitated for a moment, then said, "Something happened. I won't stop coming in the future." "But why didn't you come?" Emily asked again. Daisy didn't want to tell her the reason, and she was not used to telling lies, so she kept silent. "Can't you just say it?" Emily was very curious. Daisy's identity has always been a mystery, and she wanted to find out. Daisy shook her head, but it aroused Emily's curiosity even more. When school was over at noon, Emily said, "Daisy, we've already treated you to something, and it's your turn to treat us once." Daisy remembered the one time they had offered her lunch because they didn't like the taste of it. Daisy said, "Okay, what do you want to eat?" Emily glanced at Lila and Mia and said, "The school food is not good. Let's go out to eat. I know there is a newly opened restaurant that serves good food." Lila and Mia were naturally agreeable, and Daisy couldn't say anything, so she followed them obediently. This was a newly opened high-end club, and Emily's father is a member here, so they could come in. As soon as Daisy arrived at such a luxurious place, she was at a loss and wanted to sneak away. She felt she didn't fit. But Emily held her arm, so she couldn't go away. When ordering food, she didn't understand the menu much, so she let them order whatever they wanted. She wasn't even aware of the dining etiquette. There was so much different cutlery she hadn't even seen before, let alone used. She was missing Roman so much, he taught her everything so patiently. They were treating her like some dirty pig. Emily and the others didn't mean to teach her at all. They just ate their food. They chatted happily and seemed to be at ease. Daisy bit her lip and tried to imitate their way of eating, but failed. The others made fun of her. Emily was proud of her trick. She had only brought Daisy here so she would be unable to pay, and they would come to know of her poor background. But when she saw the card that Daisy took out from her pocket, she was completely dumbfounded. Emily, who came from a filthy rich family, had recognized the card, which was a very expensive credit card. Emily still didn't give up. She took the card and looked at the signature on the back. The flamboyant handwriting was not from Daisy's hand. Upon closer inspection, it didn't look like Daisy's name, but she just couldn't recognize whose name it was. Emily was speechless looking at the card, returned it silently, and asked unwillingly, "Daisy, who gave you this card?" "Roman," Daisy replied softly. "Who is your Roman?" Emily asked. Daisy fell silent. She didn't want to tell Emily about her and Roman. Back in his office, John had come to see Roman only to find him sad and frowning. He glanced around the office and didn't see Daisy, so he asked, "Where is the love of your life?" "She went to college," Roman said. His head hung low. "No wonder," John smiled. "No wonder you miss her so much. If you miss her, call her." He picked up Roman's cell phone and handed it to him. Right then, a message flashed on the screen. John asked, a bit shocked, "Is your card stolen? You are here, but you spent money in the Red Indian Club. What's going on?" Roman took the phone and looked at the message. Daisy had spent $3,000 in the club. What was she doing? Gambling. Roman gritted his teeth. He was anxiously waiting here, but she was spending money in a clubhouse. She is not even a member. Who did she go with? John asked. "Is the card stolen?" "No, Daisy spent it." John stood up and patted him on the shoulder. "Okay, it's only $3,000. Why are you so angry? You are not a stingy person. Don't you have work to do?" Roman rolled his eyes. "I do," John said, and went out laughing. Because of that card, Emily and the three of them became more affectionate towards Daisy. After all, Daisy had a black card and they didn't. They have been used to measure people's status with money since they were young. Even if Daisy behaves strangely and her origin is unknown, she has money and money is everything. Lila held Daisy's arm affectionately. "Daisy, we will hang out with you from now on." "Yes, Daisy," Emily also said. "We are good friends. Let's go shopping together after school. Since the little girl is so rich, they have no reason not to spend some money on her." Daisy couldn't stand others being nice to her. Seeing the three faces smiling like flowers in front of her eyes, Daisy nodded fiercely. Okay. She has been alone for too long. She needs a friend. But after school, when she saw Roman's car waiting for her outside, she hesitated again. "Whispering expresses the meaning of not wanting to go," Lila said. "Daisy, you agreed. How can you temporarily release our pigeons?" Emily even snorted coldly. "What's the matter, Daisy? Do you look down on us if you have money?" Soon, Matt came to pick her up, but the others persuaded her. "Come on, Daisy, let's go shopping with us." "It would be so much fun," Emily said. Mia and Lila joined in. "Of course it would be. Come, Daisy, there are so many styles that would look good on you. We'll help you pick a few." Daisy didn't want to go with them, but she wasn't very good at refusing people, and she had to live with them for a few years now, so she agreed. Slowly, she walked over to Matt and told him that she wanted to go shopping with her classmates and asked him to go back and tell Roman. Matt was stunned. After only a few days of seeing each other, Daisy was visibly changing, but he didn't say anything, just nodded. He turned the car around and went back to report to Roman. Roman endured missing her for a whole day. Originally, he wanted to pick up Daisy himself, but later sent Matt. He was anxiously waiting for them to return. Matt came in, but there was no sign of Daisy. Roman's face sank. Where is she? Matt stood there for a while and then said, "She wanted to go shopping with her friends, sir. Told me to come and inform you." Roman closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and said, "Fine, you can go." He dialed her number, but she didn't pick up. He dialed it several times, but in vain. Roman was sitting in the office. His face was pale with worry and annoyance. He was worrying about her, and she refused to pick up his call. He was usually a patient person. He had waited for Iris practically his whole life, for God's sake. Why did he start to lose his mind when it came to Daisy? He kept on calling. She was too busy wrestling her way through the manners and etiquette of the rich. Even when she wanted to excuse herself, Emily or Mia kept indulging her, bombarding her with questions about her previous life and her family background, which Daisy either dodged or politely answered. When there was a moment's quiet, Daisy's phone rang again, and this time Lila noticed it. Lila pointed out to her, "Daisy, is your phone ringing?" Daisy let out an "oh" and glanced at the phone. It was Roman. She picked up the phone and answered, "Hello?" Roman's reply was a mix of worry and anger. Daisy easily recognized it. "Where are you?" he asked. "I'm having a cold drink with my classmates." She remembered she had promised to call him back. "I'm sorry, I forgot to call." Sure enough, she forgot. Roman took another breath and said calmly, "It's okay, you can enjoy your time. Give me a call when you want to come and Matt will pick you up." Daisy would rather Roman vent his annoyance rather than sound so patient. She said, "I want to come back right now." "You sure?" he asked. Yes, I am." "Send Matt, please," she said on the other end. "I'll send him," he said and hung up. Lila asked, "Daisy, you leaving?" Daisy nodded. "It's getting a bit late, I should go." "What happened?" Mia asked her. "Don't you want to go shopping with us?" Daisy shook her head and remained silent. Emily interjected, "Fine, Daisy, but you have to pay the bill before you leave. We didn't bring any money." Daisy felt sorry for her friends for leaving early, but she readily took out the card and paid the bill. Emily whispered to the other two friends, "This dumbhead is very easy to coax. From now on, she will be our cash machine." Daisy paid another $2,000. She knew they were ordering things a bit more. There was so much left on the table untouched, but she didn't know what to say. She had grown up with very limited means and respected resources very much. It was breaking her heart to see so much food get wasted. She wasn't sure if she could point that out to others or if it was another high-class thing to waste food. Still, she tried once. "Do you think we should get these packed? Isn't it a bit much to waste?" "Get it packed?" Emily scoffed. "What do you mean, get it packed? What would others think? Do you want to appear poor and homeless?" she asked. I am poor and homeless, Daisy thought, but chose to keep quiet. Daisy stood on the side of the road waiting before Matt's car arrived. She opened the car door and got in silently. Matt glanced at her in the rearview mirror and said, "Daisy, what's the matter?" "You don't look very good," Daisy said sadly. "I don't know, Matt. Should have been a bit more careful, I guess." "It's okay. Roman likes you too much to care." He winked at her and she smiled back. He drove to the office. Daisy went up and greeted Sarah on the way and entered Roman's chamber. He didn't say anything, just kept looking at her. She stayed silent for a while and then said, "You're making me uncomfortable. Say something. You could have called," he finally said. "I know. I'm sorry," she said in a low voice. Then she continued, "I also spent a rather large sum of money." And she stood there, silent. Roman still wasn't happy with her behavior, but it would be a bit hasty to expect she learned the ways of society so soon. He got up and hugged her. Daisy started crying in his chest. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I am stupid. You should have never trusted me with the card. Stop crying, it's not a big deal. I was worried about your safety since you don't know this city yet and you've gotten lost before." He kept hugging her, giving her tiny kisses for a very long time before the two of them finally calmed down. Roman laughed, stroked her messy hair, and said, "You look like a child." "Is it?" she asked in his chest. "The first time I saw you cleaning the yard, I wondered why they hired you. You looked so thin. But I've strength. I'm not a child. Wish I was so young." Roman made a face. "Stop it. You're just 24. Stop acting like your life is ending." Roman pretended to be an old man and then pretended to be a corpse, which made Daisy laugh. The misunderstanding was resolved. The two reconciled as before and went home holding hands. Sarah stood by the table with a smile. She raised a teasing eyebrow at Daisy, who pretended she hadn't looked. A hearty dinner was essential. He cooked. He was teaching her cooking, and to her credit, she was a fast learner, but she still had a long way to go. She loved the apple pie Roman cooked and had vowed that someday she would make it better than Roman, but that was a far star to reach. After they had both eaten, they felt so much better. She wanted to help with the utensils, but Roman said it was all right. Daisy felt a bit useless in this house. Most of the stuff here was automated, and she was good at traditional handling. She didn't know how to use the washing machine well. The oven or the vacuum cleaner, she was adept at nothing, and mostly when she asked Roman for help, he would ask her to rest and do it himself. She would have to find a way to learn things, but how? When he came back and sat next to her, she asked innocently, "Do you think they are even my friends?" "Who?" he asked. "Emily, Mia, and Lila. They're nice to me and everything, but sometimes I feel they might be using me." "And why do you feel so?" "So today they asked me to treat them and I agreed. And then they ordered so much and it all went to waste. I wanted to pack those things, but I didn't know who to ask. And of course, I couldn't ask them, or they would laugh." She breathed. Roman was still silent, so she continued. "And they started treating me better once they saw the card you gave me." Roman regarded her for a few seconds and then said, "Daisy, if you feel uncomfortable around them or you think they are using you, stop hanging around with them. I'm sure you will find better friends. I want to wait for a while and see. What if they are good people and they are making sure I am like them? I sure don't look like I belong to that college. You very much do. But fine, if you want to give it time, wait for some more days." His instinct said those three were not the best of people, but he couldn't make Daisy's decisions for her. She had to find her own crowd in the world. How much ever it might hurt him to see her get hurt, it was her road to navigate. He could only be there, which he very much was. Although he might consider breaking a few bones and murdering a few mortals if they dared hurt her, he had an afterthought, but mostly he would try to be with her. On the other hand, Caroline's secretary had called Sarah several times to fix a meeting with Roman, only to be told he was not in the office. She herself called Roman on several occasions, but his number was mostly switched off. What the hell was he busy with, Caroline thought. Should I visit his house? But that would look too intrusive and desperate, wouldn't it? But Victoria had called her on several occasions, right? She could just go and meet her. She thought, and then snubbed herself. And sure, everyone would believe you were there to see Victoria and not to inquire about Roman. But there was no other way. If she had to see him, or at least know something about his whereabouts, she would have to go. It's been a few days and he hadn't texted or called. Not that he called all the time before, but at least they were in touch. Didn't we make headlines after that party? Can't he see we are made for each other? She went on talking to herself. But what did he do instead? She imitated his soft, husky voice. I have to wait for her. She will come back. And then she continued to herself. Sure she will. We are all living in a fairy tale, aren't we? I have agreed to wait for that man for a year, and he has no care. Then she got up and paced around her office, making up her mind. I have to go to Spencer's. I don't have any other way of knowing what he's up to. The next day, Caroline visited the Spencer family as a surprise, and of course Victoria was thrilled to see her. Welcome, dear. Victoria hugged her. Didn't Roman come with you? Victoria asked her without letting her go. Caroline said, I haven't met him in a few days. We haven't been in touch. He's busy these days. He hasn't left his apartment, Victoria said, informing Caroline of Roman's whereabouts. Later that evening, Roman arrived home to see Caroline and his mother waiting for him. Seeing him come home, Victoria asked for dinner to be served, telling everyone to join in. She asked Roman where he had been all this time. "I am back now, aren't I?" Roman replied, unwilling to share the details of where he had been. Then he sat down, greeting Caroline. Although Roman still looked like a modest gentleman, Caroline felt a little intimidated by him. After that night, they had gotten a little closer, and everything was going well between them. He had hugged her for God's sake. Do so. Now Caroline suddenly felt him getting cold towards her and wondered if she made a mistake coming here tonight. The dinner went smoothly, with her making conversations with Victoria while Roman sat quietly the entire time. Victoria kept suggesting they should hang out more often and how good they looked together, but she only received cold glares from him in return. After the meal, everyone sat in the living room having coffee. Although Caroline was talking to Victoria, she kept glancing at Roman every now and then. Victoria suddenly remembered, "Tomorrow, I will send someone to take care of your apartment since you have been very busy." Roman said a bit too quickly, "No need. Mother, the housekeeper of the apartment has been arranged and someone has cleaned it." He didn't want his mother or Caroline to know about him and Daisy just yet. Victoria gave her son a resentful look, but didn't say anything. Caroline then got up to leave. Roman stood up and said, "I'll see you off." Caroline was surprised, but nodded anyway and walked out. Caroline walked to her car and smiled at Roman. "You can go in. I'm leaving." And she stood there as if waiting for him to pull her into a hug or apologize for being away without informing her. But instead, he stood there awkwardly. He, who looked so confident and in control all the time, was struggling with articulation, and Caroline could see it. That made her a little nervous. He took a few breaths and with a decisive look on his face said, "Caroline, I want to talk to you." She looked at him questioningly. He continued, "I'm sorry for giving you false hope, but I cannot be with you. We have to end this. I know you wanted us to be friends, but I see a longing in you sometimes and find myself responsible." Then he finally said, "I am not in love with you and we will never work out," Roman had said in a serious tone. Caroline felt his words sting her heart. "You love someone else, don't you?" Roman smiled apologetically but did not say anything. Caroline didn't ask any more questions and left wondering if she knew him at all. While driving, Caroline looked at Roman in the rearview mirror. She was numb and felt herself distracted by all her dreams that had been shattered. So much so that she failed to notice the oncoming car. It had already been too late when she turned the wheels. She screamed, and it was all black. Roman was busy catching up with his paperwork when his phone rang. He picked up the call and was shocked to hear that Caroline had an accident and was admitted to the hospital. "What are you talking about? If this is some bad joke, you will regret it later," he shouted at the person who had called him. "It's the truth, sir. She's had it very bad. She's in the city hospital." While getting to the hospital, he wondered about his relationship with Caroline. She was an independent girl, and he was no more than a friend to her. They have only met a few months ago, and yet he felt responsible for her present condition. Caroline's car had crashed on the side of the freeway. The traffic police said that the owner of the car hadn't been drinking, so it was probably because the car suddenly lost control. Roman sat outside Caroline's room and waited quietly. After about an hour or so, the door finally opened, and the doctor told him that his friend was lucky to get out without any fatal injury. Roman heaved a sigh of relief and went to check up on Caroline. He also informed her parents of the situation. She was covered with white gauze, but her face looked very peaceful. Roman sat beside her and waited for her parents to arrive. When Roman returned home, it was already 10 o'clock, and the room was very quiet. He threw his blazer on the couch and quietly walked into the room to see Daisy reading a book, though she was about to sleep. Looking at her sitting there peacefully, all his stress melted away. Roman couldn't help but smile, putting the book away. He looked at her and pulled her into a gentle kiss. Roman held her in his arms and sat there taking in her scent and asked, "Did you wash your hair?" "Yeah," Daisy replied, putting her arms around his neck and asking, "Why did you come back so late? Caroline had a car accident. I went to the hospital to see her. Is she all right?" Daisy looked at him, slight panic in her eyes. "How did the accident happen?" "I don't know either," Roman said, running his finger through her hair. "But nothing major happened, so I guess it will be fine if she stays in the hospital for a few days." Daisy felt a little sad after hearing about the car accident. She said to Roman, "You have to be careful when driving. Take care of yourself." Roman pinched her face amusedly. "Yes, love. You think too much. Go to sleep. I'll take a shower." Roman tucked her in bed and was about to turn around to leave when Daisy held his hand and said, "I'll wait for you." "I know." Roman teased her. "You want to sleep with me?" His girl was cute. Roman suddenly didn't want to take a bath anymore. There was a small lamp on the bedside which made her eyes shine brightly in the dim light, and Roman couldn't take his eyes off her. He didn't know when he fell in love with her. Maybe it was when he first saw her. Maybe it was through the days that she kept running away. Or maybe it was something that happened a little more every day like it was. Because he felt a little more in love with her every passing day. When he started to know her more and more, his admiration gradually turned into love without him even noticing it. His first reaction was to alienate her and keep his distance. He is used to keeping people at a distance. Until that night when he was frantically looking for her, he felt as if he couldn't let go. Roman lost his own heart, but found happiness. They had been living together for so long, sleeping in each other's arms every night, but he never touched her. The woman he loves lies in his arms every night, but he can't touch her. Roman restrained himself and thought about sleeping in another room. He wanted to get close to her sometimes, but he didn't know what Daisy would like, so he decided to wait for her to be ready. Roman felt Daisy looking at him. "What are you thinking?" "Lila invited me to her birthday party and I was wondering if I should go." "Of course," Roman said, as he knew making more friends would do her good, or at least help her separate good from bad. "Have you bought a present yet?" Daisy heaved a sigh. "No, I couldn't come up with anything. I will get her a cute teddy bear. Is that okay?" Daisy asked. Roman laughed. "If she was 3 or 5 years old, you could consider it. Then what else can I get her?" Daisy thought. "Maybe a cake?" Roman sat on the bed and hugged her. "Don't worry about it. Leave it to me. I will prepare a gift and send it tomorrow." Roman gently stroked her back and asked, "Daisy, what are you planning to give me on my birthday?" Daisy thought about it for a long time, but couldn't come up with anything that Roman didn't have. After a moment, she said, "I'll give you whatever you want." Roman chuckled. "I want you for my birthday. Is it okay?" Daisy found it silly and said, "I'm already yours." She said it so casually, making Roman wonder. This little girl was too innocent for her own good. In the afternoon, Matt brought the gift to the college. Daisy didn't know how else to give it, so she directly handed it to Lila. She could have never afforded a Birkin bag like that on her own, and her happiness knew no bounds. "Oh my God, Daisy, thank you so much," she said excitedly. Lila's family belonged to the middle class, owning a small supermarket. Paying hundreds of grand in tuition fees every year, they were barely able to stay afloat. Her parents sent her to a noble school not to study, but in hopes that she could associate with the affluent and make connections that would help her climb out of her current socioeconomic class by marrying well. Therefore, Lila's excitement could be imagined when she got this coveted bag. Daisy accompanied Lila to the party directly after college at her insistence. They had booked an entire hotel, a bit much of a show-off for a family that was struggling with finances. Lila took her to her private room to change, then dragged her to the party hall. As soon as she was there, she regretted her decision. Loud music was playing, everyone was dancing and drinking. There was the lingering smell of sweat and smoke, which made her feel nauseated, but she couldn't leave right away. It would be rude. So she decided to stay in a corner, politely avoiding conversations. Lila soon got lost in the crowd. In the dim light, everyone was having a good time, socializing, and no one paid attention to their surroundings. Daisy quietly opened the door and went out to breathe for a moment. The long corridor that seemed to have no end in sight had a faint sound of music coming from the other end. She was forced by everyone to have a glass of wine, making her a little dizzy. She followed the signs to find the restroom. But when she came out of the restroom, she was lost and confused. Every room was the same, and the corridors extended in all directions, making it look like a maze. She was so dizzy from the wine she had consumed that she couldn't remember the way at all. Daisy looked at the numbers on the door and tried finding Lila's room. She got to a door and thought it should be this room. She pushed through the door and went in. It was also dimly lit. Laser lights swept back and forth, and the intense electronic music made her eardrums hurt. She stood at the door, realizing her mistake and turning around when a hand dragged her over into the darkness. Daisy screamed and struggled, but that hand held her firmly. "Oh, so it's a wild cat?" Daisy panicked and yelled, "I'm not a wild cat and leave me alone." But her voice was muffled by the music. Although Daisy was petite and had no actual muscle strength, she was smart. She put all her enraged energy into biting the man's wrist. He screamed in pain. The man, Pete, dodged Daisy's kicking feet. Someone turned on the light. Daisy looked around, shocked. It was filled with men. Pete saw Daisy's face and realized it wasn't the girl he had been waiting for. All the others standing nearby also realized it was someone else. A man named Tony stepped forward. "If it's not her, why don't we let her go, Pete?" Pete, who was still holding a struggling Daisy by her arm, said, "It's not that I want to make things difficult for her. As soon as I let her go, she will run away and tell others shit about me. I can't risk that." Tony said, "Isn't it okay to close the door? Wait for the two of you to solve the problem calmly before..." Someone went over and closed the door. Pete let go of Daisy, who immediately made a run to the door, but stood there nervously since it was closed. Tony asked, "Miss, you have to settle the matter before leaving." Daisy was very anxious and panicked as someone was guarding the door, not allowing her to get out. She punched and kicked that person again. To be honest, Daisy had never been a violent person herself, but the adrenaline rush kicked in her fight or flight response. She had always been timid and cautious, avoiding talking with others, let alone fights. Tony looked at her with an amused expression and said, "Wrong for you to be so violent. I'll let the police decide how to deal with you." When he mentioned the police, Daisy became quiet and stopped to think for a moment. She was afraid of the police, but at this moment she wanted the police to come to her rescue. The people in this room were terrifying, even more than the police themselves. As soon as she stopped, everyone could assess her appearance. She was thin and had a small build, making her look younger than her age. A man stepped ahead. His name is Adam Miller. Adam lifted Daisy's chin with his finger and asked, "What's your name?" Daisy turned her face away from his hands and stared at him angrily. "Why don't you talk?" Adam frowned. "Didn't you put up a fight very vigorously just now?" Daisy held her head high but didn't speak a word. This man was very handsome and had an aura, but he was not as good as Roman. Daisy felt that she couldn't give in and embarrass Roman. As long as they don't harm her, she has nothing to be afraid of. If she lands herself in a troublesome situation, she could always rely on Roman to come and get her out of it. Adam frowned as he looked at the skinny little girl. "I'm Adam. Do you recognize me?" Daisy shook her head, not understanding why she had to recognize him. Adam took a step towards her, making Daisy take a step back, looking at him warily. Adam took another step forward, and Daisy continued to retreat until she was backed up against the door. Her lips trembled as she spoke. What do you want?" "First of all, you have to pay for medical expenses," Adam said. Daisy had already taken out her American Express from her pocket. "I'll pay. Can I leave after compensating?" Tony took a closer look at the card and said with a smile, "The girl is holding a black card. She is rich." Adam frowned at that. He said, "Of course, I don't have the final say on the amount of medical expenses. It needs to be negotiated between us. Therefore, You'd better ask your family or friends to come over so as not to say that so many of us are bullying you." Daisy shook her head. "No need. You can take as much as you want. I can swipe the card." Daisy had already considered that she couldn't ask Roman to come because he would lose his mind and someone might end up dead. "I have friends," Daisy said to Adam. "You can call one of them." "Okay, what's your friend's name?" Adam couldn't wait. "John." Adam was stunned for a moment and asked, "Your friend's name is John?" Daisy nodded. Adam laughed. He felt that this matter was getting more and more interesting. She gave them his number and they called him. When the call came, John was drinking. When he saw that it was Tony's call, he laughed aloud when he answered. "What's the matter?" John asked. "It's a serious matter. Do you know someone named Daisy?" John's smile suddenly subsided. Daisy? What happened? How did Tony know about Daisy? He thought. Before Tony could finish speaking, John took his mobile phone and walked towards the door quickly, leaving behind a group of people eagerly waiting for his company. When John arrived at the location, he was shocked to see Daisy, so he quickly pulled her aside to check on her carefully. "Are you okay?" John noticed the red marks and bruises on her arms. He knew there would be a storm when Roman came to know about the whole matter. Daisy caught him up with what had happened, making John glance at the people around him in contempt. "How dare you hold her against her will? How dare you ask for medical expenses? Besides, she is very timid and never beats people. It must be your fault." Daisy lowered her head and remained silent. John said, "Don't be afraid, I'm here. No one will dare to bully you," Daisy said to John in a very small voice. "He is a bad guy. He tried to force himself on me." John sighed. He knew this matter would blow up when Roman heard about it. At this moment, Daisy's cell phone rang. She had just taken it out when John yelled, "Don't answer it!" He yelled so suddenly that Daisy's hands trembled in fright, and the phone call was received by mistake. It was Roman. Of course, John knew that it was Roman who had called, which was why he wanted Daisy to not pick up. John hastily took the phone from her hands and answered it. Roman's deep voice came, "Why are you with her? Where are you?" The voice was very calm, but John was very nervous. There was no way he could hide it. He didn't dare to think what would happen when the two enemies met head to head. After John told him the address, he sat aside silently. Seeing him like that, Daisy was quite nervous. John patted the seat next to him and said, "Come and sit." After waiting for about 10 minutes, Roman arrived. He knocked on the door and then walked in. From the look on his face, it was obvious that he was acquainted with every single man present there, and they most certainly didn't look like friends. As soon as Daisy saw him, she immediately ran to stand behind him. Roman held her hand and asked, "What happened?" This matter was too complicated. Daisy couldn't explain it and kept silent. Tony laughed and said, "It's okay. It's just a misunderstanding." Daisy kind of bit Pete and scratched his face. They just wanted a little compensation. Daisy lowered her head as if admitting her mistake. "I didn't do it on purpose." He held me and wasn't letting me go. Roman shot like a flash of lightning, so fast that it was too late for people to be on guard. Pete didn't dodge, nosebleeds came out, and he wiped it looking at the bright red between his fingers. Roman's veins were throbbing with anger as he shouted, "Do you have any idea who I am?" Adam, who had stood in the corner till now, away from everyone's gaze, stepped in, breaking the fight, and said, "Mr. Spencer is very angry. It's not worth it for such a trivial matter, right?" Roman looked at Adam, and there was immediate disgust on his face. Everyone present knew they had not had a great past relationship. Roman kept looking at him like he was a piece of dirt. Adam also had a disgusted expression on his face, but he quickly adjusted it into a constipated smile. Roman wanted to slap him too, but then said, "Is there any business for you here?" "Pete is my brother," Adam said. "You hit my brother, and I can't even say a word. Mr. Roman, you are a bit of a bully." Roman didn't want to argue with Adam and said, "You want to stand up for your brother, so come on," and moved towards him. Daisy was scared to death. All this violence was too much for her. She almost crashed to the ground, but Roman saw it and held her just in time. She was half unconscious when he held her. "Let's go, Roman, please. Take me home." Her voice broke. Roman hated seeing Daisy cry. He held her close to his chest. "John, bring out the car," he ordered as he carried her downstairs. The matter was settled, and no one had to pay anyone. Roman beat Pete until his nose was bruised and his face was swollen, and he fought with Adam. Although there was no winner, it was considered a vent. When the group arrived downstairs, just as Lila's birthday party was over, the girls were stunned. Coming down were some of the most important men of Salt Lake City: Tony, John, Roman, and Adam. The girls covered their mouths and couldn't believe their eyes. Most of them were wealthy daughters who wanted to marry well. They loved the nobles of the upper class. Emily rubbed her hands excitedly, but was shocked that there was a girl among the group of men. She was very familiar with that thin figure. It was Daisy. She was caught off guard and completely stunned. Other people saw it too, and everyone opened their mouths in disbelief. Only Lila murmured to herself, "No wonder she gave me such an expensive bag. It turns out that she has an association with the rich." Roman listened to John's account of the ins and outs of the matter, which was similar to what he estimated, but there was one thing he did not expect. When Daisy was in trouble, she did not look for him, but John. This made him very uncomfortable. But Daisy raised a tear-stained face and looked at him pitifully. Roman couldn't even utter a word of complaint. Daisy knew that she had done something wrong again, so she sat in the car without saying a word. When she got home, Roman asked her to take a bath and she went in. When Daisy came out of the shower, Roman saw that her eyes were red and knew that she had cried. He felt distressed and annoyed at the same time. He restrained his emotions and asked softly, "Why are you crying? What's wrong?" Daisy was wearing a wide t-shirt, showing a thin collarbone, standing there pitifully shaking her head. Roman saw the bruise on her arm. He took her arm and asked, "How did this happen?" She was too tired to say anything. Then she said, "Doesn't matter. It doesn't hurt at all." Roman asked again, "What happened?" Daisy bit her lip and said, "He pushed me. I hit the coffee table." "Who pushed you?" "Pete?" She nodded. Roman slammed his fist on the table, but then he went into the bathroom without saying a word. One was standing by the window drinking water, and the other was sitting at the bar drinking. Neither of them spoke, and the atmosphere was quite dull. Daisy secretly glanced at Roman from time to time. He still looked good, somehow even more handsome when he was angry. She saw his side face. The curve of his jaw was tense. When the air was so tense Daisy couldn't bear it anymore, she walked over and tugged at the hem of Roman's clothes. Roman didn't look at her. "Are you mad at me?" she asked. He said, and she understood he was. He got up and kissed her head. "Good night," and he walked into the bedroom. Daisy sat alone for a while, then she went inside too. She lay next to him, but he kept his eyes closed, pretending he was asleep. She knew he wasn't. She started talking to no one in particular, but Roman was paying attention. "I wanted to call you, but you would lose your mind. I didn't trust those men. What if they hurt you?" Then, with a pause, she continued, "You said, John has connections with people in gangs. He also helped find me the other time. I just thought he could handle the bad guys in the language they understand. You were too good for them. I was protecting you in whatever way I knew best." By this time, Roman had opened his eyes and was face to face with her. Even in the dark, they were looking at each other, and then with all the love in her eyes, she said, "Don't you protect me?" That was all for Roman. He stopped any further conversation by locking his lips with hers. His tension was revealed in the way he kissed her tonight, all teeth and tongue, not caring about the loving bruises he was leaving on the lines of her neck, the faint red marks along her clavicle. He didn't care if his hold was a bit too strong for her body. She didn't either. And Roman was a bit surprised by the way Daisy responded, pulling away and making him lie down, planting kisses all around his bare chest, kissing his hands, his forehead, and licking his earlobes. She was all over him, and he reckoned in loving her all along, Roman had missed how good it felt to be loved. So he let go, lying there and letting her do whatever she wanted to him and with him, and Daisy seized the opportunity well. When Daisy walked into the classroom the next day, the classmates regarded her with strange eyes again. But this time it was envy rather than humiliation. Emily asked in a flattering tone, "Daisy, who was with you last night?" Daisy thought for a while, then said, "Friends." "What friends? Are they all your friends?" "Who do you have the best relationship with?" Emily asked curiously. She said, "Daisy, we are good friends, and you still keep it a secret from me. Just tell me." "Actually, I know all those people. One is Roman, the other is Adam, the other is Tony, and the other is John, right?" Daisy was surprised. "So you know them?" "Of course," Emily said with a little pride. "My family is also well known in the city. I know them. Girls from my family are not allowed in adult parties unless we are 18. I will meet them once I turn 18. Daisy said. "Then you don't know them yet." "We'll get to know each other soon," Emily said. "Next month, my dad will hold a coming-of-age dance for me. Maybe they will be the guests. When the time comes, you can come too." Daisy smiled and said, "Okay." Emily went on to say, "Bring all your friends." Daisy shook her head. "I'm not very familiar with them either. How could she be unfamiliar?" Emily saw that they were all surrounding Daisy. John and Tony smiled at her. Adam also had a faint smile on his face. Only Roman looked a bit serious. Emily felt that Daisy was trying to show off on purpose, and she was a little upset for a while. When class was over, Lila and Mia also ran over to inquire about what happened last night, but Daisy still kept silent. Mia felt resentful when she didn't share. Only Lila didn't mind. She gave Daisy a piece of chocolate. "You left early last night and didn't eat anything. I especially got this for you." Away from the college, in a luxurious room sat a group of men. Tony crossed his legs, took a small sip of red wine, and smiled. "Adam, why do you look so happy?" Adam leaned on the back of the chair, holding the wine glass in his hand, with a faint smile on his mouth. "Don't you see it?" "What do you see?" "That girl?" Tony said. "Come on, do you think Roman will marry her?" Adam snorted. "For so many years he has been secretive and never dated anyone. Do you think he's a playboy?" Tony said. "He will never forget Iris." When Iris was mentioned, Adam's eyes turned cold and he was silent for a while, but then said, "I'm afraid that for Roman she is already in the past tense." Tony said, "Not necessarily. Did you see that photo in the newspaper from that business banquet? The girl who was with him looked just like Iris. He's still looking for her." Adam retorted, "But he fought with me last night because of that girl." Tony snorted. "The kind of enemies you are, there's a high chance you would have fought girl or no girl." Adam shook his head. "I trust my intuition. The girl is his weakness." "So what?" Tony said. "Are you going to destroy them, or are you going to snatch that girl over? Don't tell me. You've also taken a fancy to that Daisy. Her name is Daisy?" Adam turned, his eyes full of malice. Tony warned him, "Adam, you can fight Roman to death and I don't care, but you will not touch that girl. It is not a gentleman's behavior." Adam took a sip of wine and smiled. "I'm not a gentleman, but Roman is. That should be fun." He tapped his fingers on the table. Over the years, the Spencer family has developed very well under Roman's management. Everyone has a good impression of him, saying that he is modest and polite. He convinces others with virtue in getting things done. Word of mouth is very good. On the contrary, Adam, who has relied on his family's great fortune, is also well known, but it's not as good as Roman. He had waited years to disrupt Roman's life. He has tried to find his weakness, but to no avail. Well, Iris was one, but that was as good as none. Now he knew what would hurt Roman. Just wait and see. Adam raised his glass to Tony. The show is about to begin. That noon, Daisy was surprised to see Adam in the college cafeteria. Adam smiled all over his face, first greeted Daisy, and then nodded kindly to her companions. Emily and the others were immediately overwhelmed, blushing, and eager to introduce themselves. Adam brought Pete to apologize. Daisy saw Pete and was a little panicked. So when Pete bowed down to apologize, Daisy accepted it and apologized for fighting him. Adam gave him a slight nod, and Pete left. "Why don't you girls join me for a treat in some gourmet restaurant?" "Why eat in the cafeteria?" Adam offered with a charming smile. "We are fine, thanks," Daisy said before the others could answer. "Why not?" Adam asked her. "I'm not sure if I'll be very comfortable," Daisy said with a straight face. Emily gave her a resentful look and said with a smile, "It's okay, Mr. Adam, if Daisy doesn't want to go anywhere. You can join us. It's my treat, please." Adam smiled at her and took his seat next to Daisy. When Adam returned to the office, Tony was sitting on his executive chair with a glass of wine in his hand, drinking it leisurely. Seeing Adam walking in, smiled and asked, "It seems that you had a good lunch today." Adam frowned. "What happened?" Tony pressed. "That silly goose gave me a lecture about not wasting food," he said. "Why?" Tony asked. "I was just being a bit picky about what I didn't want on my plate. Is it my fault if I've not grown up eating just bread my entire life?" "It's okay," Tony said. "I want all the information on her," Adam said, and walked out. Tony stayed there. Tony's family background is different from Adam's. His father and elder brother are both important officials in the military and government. He is the only one who is in business. Because he is the youngest, his family has always pampered him. Everything is up to him. He has his own company and works whenever he wants. He is also the manager of Miller's Corporation. Although he has a shallow foundation in the business world, no one dares offend him. He came from a way too powerful a family. Who can provoke military and political officials? There are some things that Adam couldn't settle, even with large amounts of money, but when it comes to Tony, it can be resolved within a few phone calls. Still, Tony informed John, "Hey, John, I'm not sure what it is, but Adam is planning something and it involves Daisy," he said on the call. John laughed. "Let's see what that kid can do," John informed Roman. As much as Roman hated Adam, he knew Adam would never harm Daisy. Adam's family name was too good to be spoiled for matters like these. Still, Roman would be careful. John also mentioned Adam going to see Daisy in college today. When he came home and was greeted by Daisy, he didn't mention Adam. At night, lying next to him, Daisy narrated the entire incident. "Adam visited college today. Wanted to treat my group to lunch. I refused, but Emily requested him to join us, so he did. I was a little uncomfortable, to be honest. He wasted so much food, you know." Then with an afterthought, she added, "Yeah, he also got Pete for an apology. I apologized for the bruises, too." Roman kept agreeing, and she said, "He wanted to be friends, but I politely refused, saying I am a bit caught up in my studies." When Daisy fell asleep, Roman sat with his laptop working on a big tourism project coming up. He wanted to have it. There would be a bid, and sure enough, many big companies would fight, including Miller Group. As he was reading, a phone call came. It was Aled, who was in charge of the bid for their company. Aled is Roman's cousin. He is hardworking and capable. John recommended him to be in charge of this case, and Roman had no objection. Aled is very efficient, and he handed in the bidding document within a week. John was impatient to read the thick pile and threw it to Roman. They discussed the bid for a while before Aled hung up. Roman had agreed to let Aled take charge of such a big deal because he wanted to test him. Roman wanted someone capable who could take charge of the company with him. He wanted it to be John, but he had a family business to look after, and he was a bit careless. Roman saw potential in Aled and wanted to test him. When Roman was lost in the documents, Daisy came and sat by his side. "What are you doing?" she asked. "You woke up?" "Nothing, just going through the documents for the bid." "What bid?" she asked with such genuine curiosity that Roman ended up explaining the entire process to her over the next half hour. For a wild second, he had thought of making Daisy work by his side in the business after she completed college, which he kept to himself. As she was casually flipping through the documents, she came across the name Aled and asked, "Who's Aled? Is he a Spencer too?" "He's my cousin," Roman said. The two of them are brothers. The one you met is called Vincent, who, as you know, is not very good. There was an undertone to his voice that told Daisy Roman wanted him to be good. And suddenly something struck her. Roman, that night Vincent was also there in the room. I'm sure he was. He left after someone switched on the light and he saw me. Roman was not surprised when he heard that. He expected nothing better from him, and after he had hurt Daisy, Roman had completely given up. It was past midnight when they both went to bed. As soon as Daisy walked into the classroom the next day, Emily said in a warning tone, "Daisy, I know who your friend is." Daisy was a little surprised and didn't speak, waiting for Emily to continue. "It's John, right?" Emily seemed to be condescending in her tone. "Don't complain, I didn't warn you. John is a famous playboy and he usually spends no more than 3 months with a woman. You have to be careful," Daisy asked, a little surprised. "Is that true?" There was a point when John did make Daisy uncomfortable, but he had been so good to her in the past that she had assumed she had misunderstood him. He was just funny and outspoken. "What? Don't you know?" Emily gave her a strange look. "Everyone in Salt Lake knows it," Daisy muttered. "I don't know him that well." Emily said, "You and he are dating, right? Just be a bit careful." Daisy shook her head. "No, we are not. We are just friends. Emily doesn't believe it. Daisy can't have such a luxurious lifestyle without dating someone rich. She looked too ordinary for that." She guessed again. "Is it Tony?" Daisy shook her head again, and Emily was a bit surprised. "If it isn't Tony, who is it? It can't be Adam. You didn't like it at all when he came over that day. It can't be Roman because he's already dating my cousin." "Pardon?" Daisy inquired, shocked. "Roman is my cousin's boyfriend," Emily said. "You must know her. She's famous. A while ago, their photo was published in the newspaper." "Caroline Williams?" Daisy didn't believe her ears. Blood rushed down from her face and she became pale. "Hey, Daisy, what happened? You don't look so good?" Emily inquired. "Nothing. I am okay." She quickly tried regaining her composure. She somehow sat through one more lecture and then excused herself and left. She walked on the road for she didn't know how long. Tears were constantly streaming down her cheeks. She should have known, shouldn't she? Roman could never be hers entirely. What was she anyway? A poor and pathetic nutcase who knew nothing about the lives of the upper class? How did she expect Roman to teach her all of that? How did she even believe she would be able to live with him for an entire lifetime? It all made sense now. Why Roman never took her home, never discussed her with his parents. Being with her meant throwing away his entire family name. His hard-earned fame, that was too much of a cost, wasn't it? Maybe Roman liked her for now, but she should have known he could never love her. She walked to his office. She didn't even feel angry at him. She just felt pathetic and useless. She could never even ask Roman to be with her forever. That would be too much to ask for, and she knew she wasn't worth it. She heard John call out her name, but she couldn't reply. She just kept walking up like a corpse. Sarah greeted her, but she didn't reply. She opened Roman's door and was about to walk in when she saw someone sitting opposite him, laughing at some joke he had cracked. It was Caroline. Daisy stood there stunned for a few minutes and then turned around to leave. "Hey, Daisy, come on in. You are early today," Roman called from behind. The tears that she had controlled with so much difficulty started streaming down again. She quickly wiped them off and put on a forced smile. She walked in. Caroline got up to greet her with a smile. Daisy didn't know if Caroline knew about her and Roman or not. Caroline indulged her in small talk, asking questions about college and friends, which Daisy politely answered. Then she turned to Roman. "I will get going, all right? It's getting a little late. I have a few meetings scheduled. Roman got up. I will see you off." "No, Roman, it's all right. I will go down by myself. You sit here and talk to Daisy." "I insist," Roman said and guided her outside. Daisy stood there feeling like a fool as the two of them walked out laughing. When Roman came back, Daisy was standing exactly where she had stood moments ago. He went closer to her, standing face to face. "What happened? You are early today." She sent her thin arms around him, holding him tightly. "Nothing happened. I just missed you." As soon as she hugged him, tears started streaming down relentlessly again. Roman felt something was off, but he didn't ask. Instead, hugged her tightly, pressing their bodies against each other as though they could flow through each other like water and become one. She stood there like that for a while before she lowered her head to find his lips. His lips were incredibly soft, and there was a faint sweetness in his breath. Roman was intoxicated with the kiss, like 100 flowers blooming in his heart. Beautiful. Before Roman could lose himself completely, John walked into his chamber without announcing himself and annoying him. Daisy tried to wriggle out of his hold like a shy kid, but Roman didn't let go. "Do you know a thing called knocking?" he asked John in a cold voice. "I know, but do you know a thing about working in the office hours?" he retorted. "Anyway, I have something important to discuss," he told Roman. "It's okay. We will talk later." Daisy quickly excused herself and went out. Roman wanted to stop her, but John pulled him into a chair. John began, "Two things. The first is the Young Corporation. Their market response is very good. I want to increase investment." Roman said after a thought, "Okay, get someone to write an additional investment plan and I'll sign it." "The second thing is," John said, "I found out that 28 companies are bidding for this ecological park thing." "So many?" Roman frowned slightly. "There are many rich companies here, but this should have been out of their league. It seems that foreign companies are participating. I've heard they have good capital." When Roman didn't interrupt, John continued, "Inside news." Then he smiled, crossing his legs. "The government is more willing in favor of foreign investors. We will have to plan accordingly." Roman asked, "What's going on with Adam?" "He didn't use Tony's connections," John said. "Tony said that he hasn't mentioned anything yet. I'm not sure what he's planning." The corners of Roman's mouth curled up. Maybe, considering he lost the last 2 bids. "Adam has a child's temper, so don't take it too seriously," John said. "Tony sometimes annoys him." Roman looked up at him. "You and Tony are getting very close recently." John laughed. "I love drinking. I love beautiful women. We are like-minded. By the way, I will also find out some information for you." Then John left. He winked at Sarah. "Is Nina not here today? You are winking at me? Of course she is. I like showering you with attention." He winked again. "I am honored, Mr. John, but please keep your attention with you. Nina needs it more." John laughed. "Hey, no matter how eloquent you are, you won't find a boyfriend. I am all you have other than your work." Sarah smiled and said, "I don't need you to care. You can continue to care for Nina. She's a bit sad, right?" "What's the matter with Nina?" he asked, a bit concerned. "Don't you know? She just broke up with her boyfriend." John's eyes widened. Nina was in a relationship? Sarah also stared back. "Stop pretending. The only thing she talks about other than her clothes is her boyfriend." "What do you mean? She's cheated on me." "I am innocent." "John," fake wept. Sarah laughed. "Stop playing. Anyway, you should care about her stress, you know. She cares for you so much." "I will. I'll take care of it." John smiled at her and left. Sarah tiptoed to the door and saw that he was heading towards the office. She hurried back to the room and called Nina. "I'm done with the performance here. It's up to you." Nina laughed excitedly. "Do you think he will get me that expensive bag? He will get you anything to get you to sleep with him." "What else should I get from him?" she asked. Sarah couldn't think of anything for a while and said, "Look online. There is so much stuff. It's not like Mr. John is a stingy person." Nina said, "Every time you get John to buy me things, won't you ever get your boss to buy you something?" Sarah said without a thought, "Nah, he's too good for that." Then she went to the lounge with a cup of coffee to relax for a bit. Roman and Daisy were in the lounge playing checkers. Daisy found it, and she couldn't play, so Roman taught her and they were having too much fun. Outside the window is the high and distant blue sky in autumn, with white clouds spread like cotton candy. Daisy smiled at him, and Roman felt that there was nothing better than this. Later, he took Daisy for lunch. Daisy didn't confront him about Caroline. She didn't know how to, and she didn't want this dream to end so soon. When she was feeling considerably better, she thought of going back to college. "You can miss a day if you want to," Roman suggested. "No, it's art class. I love to paint. It's like a stress buster and teachers quite like it, so I feel kinda appreciated." Roman smiled. "Sure, I will drop you then." Daisy said she could go on her own, but Emily stood at the college gate. watching Daisy get out of Roman's car. She was disgusted. No wonder Daisy's face turned pale when she heard her cousin's name in the morning. It turned out to be a guilty conscience. John, on the other hand, was worried about making Nina happy. He got a few gifts for her and went to her. When he arrived, Sarah was with her as usual. John asked her, "Why are you everywhere?" "I'm a good friend of Nina. She's broken in love." "Of course, I have to comfort her," Sarah said. Nina made a devastated face. John tried to comfort her. "What do you want, love?" "I am hungry," she said with a face. "That's not a problem. Let's all go out to eat," he said. "Can Sarah come with me?" "I need her," she asked innocently. "Of course, my love, why not? Let's all go." In the restaurant, the two girls ordered the most expensive dishes. Even the waiter's smile became more cordial, and he stood by the side, serving the three distinguished guests attentively. Sarah and Nina were of course very happy after eating the feast. Seeing the two ladies eating happily, John was also very happy. He always believed that his existence was just to make the beautiful ladies have a good time. Once everyone was happy, and 2 bottles of gourmet wind had run out, all 3 of them were a little tipsy. Standing on the street, they were giggling, as if they were reluctant to leave. So John suggested, "Let's go to a club." Both Sarah and Nina liked a good drink, so they agreed. It was a high-end club, and John was a veteran member. Tony was sitting at a table, and he waved at him. The 3 of them joined him. Nina had met Tony twice, and she was considered an acquaintance. They introduced Sarah as Roman's secretary, and he raised an eyebrow at that. The 4 played dice, drank, and chatted. The atmosphere was quite lively. They drank until after 1 o'clock past midnight before they left. John handed Sarah to Tony and asked him to take her home while he left with Nina. John and Nina were a bit too cheerful, dancing and singing along in the car. They kept laughing at silly jokes. They went to Nina's apartment. They moved upstairs, and John collapsed on her couch. Even though Nina was drunk, she looked him straight in the eyes, holding his gaze. It was a little unsettling, to be honest. And when she cupped his face in her hands and kissed him, it felt a little more than what it had felt before. "Say it," Nina thought to herself amidst the passionate kisses she was planting on John's neck. "Say it, you fool. Tell him you've been in love with him since you first laid eyes on him. Just tell him." A voice laughed at the back of her head. "And what will he do? Love you in return? The manager of Spencer's group is in love with a secretary. You will only ruin your life and his by opening your big mouth." So it was going to be purely physical then, and John would never know how she felt about him, and one day, like all rich men who choose opulence over love, he is going to get married to someone from an equally rich family, and the legacy will continue. Why did you fall in love with him? Only to see him flirt with some girl every other day to joke with him about your boyfriend when there has been no one but him. She had all of those thoughts, but she didn't say a word. Instead, she brought her lips to his and kept on kissing him, pouring out her love through the kiss, hoping he would somehow receive all that was being left unsaid. Spencer's conference room was completely silent. Everyone glanced at the clock. The time was up, but John hadn't arrived yet, and Roman sat with a blank expression and didn't speak a word. The people below looked at each other in dismay. Although John was usually a bit careless, he was never absent from important meetings. Today's meeting was very important, and he had to preside over it. But he hadn't come. With a sneer on his face, Vincent said, "President, is Mr. John coming or not? You can't wait like this forever." Sarah near the corridor called Nina for the 100th time. Then she called John. No one answered. John's cell phone was turned off. Entering the meeting room, Sarah bent down and whispered a few words in Roman's ear. Everyone watched carefully, but Roman didn't show any emotion on his face. He turned to Aled. Let Aled preside over the meeting. Aled cleared his throat, greeted everyone, and began to chair the meeting. The most important agenda of today's meeting was to discuss the bid for the ecological park, because the amount was too large and the initial income was slow. Some people expressed concern at the meeting that the case of the ecological park would drag down Spencer's capital turnover in other projects. Someone started, and voices of worry gradually turned into objections. Aled seemed very calm amidst these objections. He listed a series of data, quoted extensive evidence, and refuted the objections one by one with facts. Roman looked at him from a distance with a satisfied expression on his face. The meeting lasted for more than half an hour. John came in and apologized that he was late. Apart from Vincent snorting coldly, of course, the others could not say anything. The meeting continued, and after talking about the ecological park, John proposed to pursue investment funds for young cooperation projects. He had already told Roman about this matter in private, but it was just another meeting procedure. Vincent jumped up and said, "If Young's project requires investment funds, then Johnson's project I am responsible for also requires investment funds." John asked him to look at the data and said, "If your project can have such profit data reported, I will consider additional investment for you." When they were arguing, no one said a word. One side was the general manager, and the other side was the CEO's cousin. Neither side could be offended, so they were quiet. Roman let them go on. John was not in a good mood today, so his words were not as nice as usual, Mr. Vincent. "What do you want this money for? Isn't the money you got from Johnson's project enough?" Vincent spat. "In your dreams, John. I have received a beggar's share for Johnson's project. John was too done for this. Is it so? Do you dare to spread Johnson's accounts on the table for all of us to see?" Vincent sneered. "Don't think I don't know what your idea is. You are fascinated by Young's marketing manager, so you can't wait to invest more, right?" Aled couldn't bear it any longer. He stood up and said to his elder brother Vincent, "Don't go too far. The benefits of Young Corporation are obvious to all. John's suggestion of additional investment is right, but Johnson's performance is mediocre. So mediocre, in fact, I think we should decrease investments. Let's vote on this matter. Those who agree with Young's additional investments, please raise their hands." As he said, he took the lead in raising his hand. John then raised his hand, and then almost everyone raised their hands one after another. Vincent looked at Aled with venom in his eyes. Aled didn't avert his gaze and said, "Raise your hand if you agree to reduce Johnson's investments." He still took the lead in raising his hand. Of course, John followed closely behind. After looking at each other in blank dismay, they still raised their hands one after another. Fuming, Vincent turned to leave but was stopped by Roman. "The meeting is not over yet. Where are you going?" Roman's expression was very calm and he looked straight at him. Vincent, who has always found Roman a little unsettling, found it best not to argue. With a word, he went back to his seat. After the meeting was over, Vincent was the first to rush out of the conference room. Roman stood up after sorting out the documents. Daisy's celebrity status in her college was still prevailing. People were genuinely curious as to how she knew so many important people. Walking on campus, people often pointed to her. She has also been stared at in college, but this was different. Initially, people stared at her with contempt. Now it looked like they wanted to befriend her. One afternoon, when she was rushing to the classroom, someone called her from behind. "Hi, Daisy!" She stopped and turned, but it was a boy she didn't know. He was tall but had a lanky posture. With his hands deep in his trouser pockets, he staggered towards her. His long hair fell on his forehead, partly covering one eye. He looked her up and down and asked, "Are you Daisy?" She nodded, trying to keep a safe distance from him. "Come, accompany me to a basketball game," he said as though they were best friends. She looked at him incredulously. "I am sorry, but I have a class to attend." She turned to leave, but he grabbed her hand from behind. She dropped all her books in shock. She tried to get away from his hold, but he was quite strong. "Let go or I'll scream," she threatened. He looked at her for a few seconds, and then started laughing. Only his laughter was cut off in the middle by a voice sounding from behind. "Let her go!" It was a boy wearing glasses. He glared at Roger. "You let her go! Ethan, you'd better stay out of this business," Roger said viciously. Ethan rushed forward to rescue Daisy. Roger let go of Daisy's hand but punched Ethan, who couldn't dodge in time, and his nose bled. Seeing the blood coming out, Roger was taken aback for a moment, then ran away. Daisy quickly squatted down to check Ethan's injury. "Are you okay?" It's okay. Ethan wiped his nose. Daisy became anxious, took out a handkerchief from her pocket and gave it to Ethan. Put it to your nose or you'll bleed more. Ethan looked at her and hesitated. No, it's okay. Hurry up, do it please. Daisy was panicking. Ethan sat on the ground, looked up and said, Thank you. No, I should thank you, Daisy said. I didn't know there were bad people in college. Ethan said with a smile, The bad guys don't write that on their faces. How would you know? Most of the students in this college are from rich families. They have been spoiled since childhood. Bullying is a piece of cake for them. Daisy said, Aren't you a kid from a rich family? I'm not, Ethan said. My parents are just ordinary employees. I can study here because I'm an exchange student. My name is Ethan. Daisy had heard Mia talk about exchange students. She said, Then your grades must be very good. Ethan said with a smile, It's okay, I guess. My name is Daisy, and I'm also not a child of a rich family. Both of them laughed. I know you are Daisy, Ethan said, but aren't you a child of a rich family? I heard that you are very familiar with those noble sons. Daisy pulled out a piece of grass and played with it, then said in a low voice, Someone sponsored me to go to college. When college was over in the afternoon, Daisy saw Ethan again and they smiled at each other. Lila asked in a low voice, Who is that? His name is Ethan, and he is an exchange student. He is Ethan, Lila whispered. He's Ethan. I think he's the one who ranks first in science every semester. That's right, if the college doesn't have another Ethan, then it's him, Daisy smiled. Lila shook her head. It's a pity. He has so much potential, but the family background is not very good. Otherwise, he would have a bright future. Whether his family is good or not, I think he has a good future anyway, Daisy said. Lila took her arm and said, It's still early. Want to go shopping with me? What are you looking for? Wanted to choose a gift, Lila said. Isn't Mia celebrating her birthday next month? I haven't decided what to give her yet. We'll go and see first. What will you give her? Daisy sighed. I don't know either. I don't understand these things. Lila took the opportunity to ask, Then how did you give me such a beautiful bag for my birthday? Daisy smiled embarrassedly. I didn't pick it. My friend picked it. Your friend is really smart when it comes to these things then, Lila said. Let me meet him sometime. Daisy sent a text message to Roman saying that she wanted to go shopping with her classmates. Roman readily agreed and said that she didn't need to save money and could just buy whatever she liked with her card. He texted her kissing emojis, which kept Daisy smiling for the next few hours. They went to some expensive stores since Mia liked these things. Lila didn't like anything for her, so they decided they would come some other day. As they were walking out, Lila saw a pair of white shoes. They had tiny daisies doodled on the sides of the sole. They looked extremely cute, just something that would suit Daisy. Considering she mostly either wore floral dresses or jeans, she could pair these up with any. Try these on, Lila said to Daisy. No, it's okay, she protested. Come on, they are so cute. Please, Daisy, she made a face. Daisy tried them on and they looked as though they were meant for her. Can I please get them for you? No, Lila, it's okay, trust me. She declined. Please, you can't miss these. They are too good. Daisy smiled at her. Okay, I will get these. I've brought the card. Even though Daisy felt they were a hell of expensive, she didn't want to disappoint Lila, and she did kind of like them. They went to the billing counter, and the man behind the counter handed the packed shoes to Daisy, saying, Miss, someone has already paid for these shoes. Daisy and Lila looked at each other. Both of them wondered who paid. Daisy denied it at first, but the boy insisted that once these were paid for, he couldn't take them back. Seeing that Daisy remained silent, the shopping guide handed over the paper bag again. Miss, this is already yours. Daisy looked at Lila for help, and she stepped in. Don't you know who it was? Lila turned to Daisy and asked, Do you want these? Daisy shook her head. Of course, she wouldn't want something of unknown origin. Lila asked the shopping guide, Who bought it? Did he leave a name? He replied, A gentleman. He paid the money and left without leaving a name. Then we can't take it. I'm sorry, Lila said and turned to leave, holding Daisy's arm. The counterman said, Miss, you have already paid for these shoes, so we can't take them back. Please take them away. We don't know who paid the bill, so we can't take them, Lila said. Daisy suddenly grabbed Lila's hand and shouted, Run! Lila didn't understand what was going on, so she followed her and ran quickly. The counterman was stunned. After running up the elevator, Lila asked out of breath, What's the matter? Daisy looked at her and started laughing, and Lila understood and joined in. The two leaned against the pillars for a while and then went to the second floor. The second floor was full of women's clothing. Lila's eyes lit up, and Daisy was dragged into every store to have a look. Though it seemed like Daisy was some celebrity, all store owners knew her. They greeted her and gave her a VIP treatment that left both of them perplexed. Lila became a little suspicious, glanced at her and said, Daisy, why do I feel that this mall is run by your family? Daisy was taken aback for a moment. She knew Roman had a huge amount of money, but he had never mentioned owning a shopping mall. She answered to Lila. No way, Lila said. Haven't you ever been here? Never, she replied. Although a little surprised, Lila was kind of enjoying the royal treatment she was getting. Daisy, on the other hand, was very uncomfortable. She requested Lila to get out of there quickly, and Lila followed suit. When they reached the gate, a few staff were holding several bags for them. We didn't buy all these, Daisy said incredulously. These are yours, miss. Our boss said we had to pack anything that we touched. These have all been paid for. They are yours. Who is your boss? Lila asked the manager. He said that Miss Daisy knows him well. No need to mention any names, the manager replied. Knows him well? Daisy thought. Then it must be Roman. He keeps insisting all the time what's his is hers. Daisy asked Lila in a low voice. What should I do? Should I accept it? Yes, she finally gave in. If the owner wants you to have these, have them. After Daisy and Lila broke up, she didn't call Matt to pick her up because she quickly spotted a bus to the Spencer office. She didn't want to unnecessarily bother Matt, so she took the bus. When she arrived at Spencer's, it was almost time to get off work. Sarah was packing her things. Seeing her coming in, she greeted her with a smile. Daisy, hello. Looks like someone has spent a fortune today, she said, looking at all the bags Daisy was carrying. Daisy put the shoebox on the table as if showing off a treasure and opened it. Does it look good? The Roman gave it to me. Sarah nodded in approval. It looks great. Can't wait to see you in them. Come in, the boss is waiting for you. Daisy put the shoes in the box, waved to Sarah, and entered Roman's office. Roman's face lit up on seeing a happy Daisy walk in. He walked up to her and gave her a peck on the cheek. Daisy positively melted. After they sat on the couch, Daisy excitedly started opening the bags to show Roman the stuff she got, even though it was him who picked them. Then she showed him the shoes. Aren't they beautiful? She chirped excitedly. They are, Roman smiled. You have great taste. I mean, look at me, he teased, and she blushed. Where did you get these? Stop acting innocent. The manager told me you picked these for me. Roman straightened. I picked these? No, I didn't, he said. What do you mean? Daisy said, a little shocked. She moved a little away from the boxes as though they were poisoned. Which place did you go to? He asked. Daisy had trouble remembering such fancy names I didn't know, something called Panache, Porsche. She tried to remember. Panache, Roman confirmed. He knew the owner of the store a bit too well for his liking. Do you like these shoes? He asked her. Daisy had sensed that something was wrong and hurriedly said, I don't like them very much. We can return them. Keep them if you like them, Roman said, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear. Didn't you buy them? She asked after a quiet. Roman said, No, but you can keep them. You know who it is, right? She asked. I know, Roman replied. I will pay them well. You don't have to worry about anything. Keep the shoes. She didn't ask any further questions. The next morning, Daisy went to college wearing new shoes. As she entered the college gate, she saw Ethan parking his bicycle. Daisy seldom took the initiative to greet people, but she mustered up the courage to call him. Ethan turned around and smiled at her. Hi, Daisy, she asked. Do you go to and from college by bike every day? Yes, I like riding, and I can't afford a car, so, he said. Then he asked, You? Daisy blushed a bit and said in a low voice, Someone sent me here. I told you, remember? So most days I get dropped by the car, and on other days I take the bus. Oh, Ethan said with a clear look. Is that your sponsor? Yeah, but forget it. Daisy didn't know why she felt a little guilty in front of him. None of them are rich yet. Ethan goes to college by bicycle, and she has a driver and a luxury car to take her there. She didn't feel any sense of superiority at all. Instead, she felt guilty. Just as they were talking, Roger passed by shouting at Ethan, You think she's your league? No, dude. She only goes around with billionaires. A penniless chap like yourself has no chance, and went off. Ethan ignored him and turned to Daisy. Come, I'll walk you to the classroom. Daisy followed him. Who is he? She asked. Nothing, just a bully. Ignore him. Just as Ethan finished saying that, Roger walked past again. Ethan, I will make you regret it. You dirt. Daisy glanced back at the boy. Why is he so rude? Old money, spoiled brat. End of story. You have to be overbearing if you have money? She asked with an innocent expression. Ethan shrugged. This is a society that hates the poor and loves the rich. Money divides people into the upper class and the lower class. It is only natural for the upper class to bully the lower class. Someone told me that people are equal. Daisy also thought that people were divided into different classes before, but Roman told her that people are equal no matter how much money they have. Didn't Nancy also tell her no one has the right to treat anyone with disrespect, and that Daisy should be proud of the way she's earning money with honesty? Ethan, who had faced discrimination for way too long, said with a flat expression, That's all lies. Daisy looked back at Roger and asked worriedly, He won't trouble you, will he? I'm not afraid of him, Ethan said. They had already reached the classroom and waved each other goodbye. As soon as Daisy entered, Lila waved at her excitedly. She was wearing a dress from yesterday and looked very happy. Daisy had given her a few dresses yesterday. How do I look? She asked. Very pretty, Daisy said with a smile. Right then, Emily and Mia walked up to them and Emily pointed at the dress. That looks pretty. Where did you get it? Lila didn't know how to explain yesterday's situation, but Daisy interjected. We went shopping and she got it for herself. Emily narrowed her eyes. You guys going shopping without us now? Lila quickly explained. No, not at all. Didn't you and Mia leave early yesterday? It was kind of a last-minute plan. Fine, Emily said flatly. Maybe next time plan it so we can all go together. Then she gave a happy smile. I have news to share. She leaned over and took out 2 invitation letters from her college bag, one for Daisy and one for Lila. You must come to my coming-of-age dance. Daisy looked at the pristine white envelope, and the feeling of not belonging gripped her again. Suddenly, she became nervous again. I have never attended a dance. Don't be nervous, Emily said. You just have to dress well, but please don't come in a t-shirt like you did for Lila's birthday. Wear a nice dress. A dress? Daisy didn't understand. What kind? She asked. She didn't want to make a fool of herself in such a high-class society. Just tell your family. They will prepare it for you. I'm sure they will know what a debutante ball is, Emily said. Yes, Lila became excited. She patted Daisy and said, Tell him to get it for you. I'm sure he will. Lila was referring to the person who had paid for the dresses yesterday. Emily raised her eyebrows and smiled a little weirdly. Who are you referring to? When neither Lila nor Daisy spoke, she let it slide, but she turned to Daisy and said with a smile, Why don't you also bring your friends along? Which friends? Daisy asked, a little confused. The ones from Lila's birthday party. Emily was looking at her expectantly, and Daisy didn't know what to say, so she said, Yeah, sure, I'll try. Mia glanced at Emily and said, Yes, and you are also supposed to get a date for the party. Daisy shook her head, But I don't have a friend as such. Who should I bring? Why don't you bring Roman or Adam? Emily suggested. I'm not sure if Roman is free, but I'll try. Daisy wanted this conversation to end as soon as possible. The conversation ended and Daisy walked down to the cafeteria with her friends. She didn't notice when a man joined them, but then Emily exclaimed, "Mr. Adam, so good to see you." Daisy rolled her eyes. This man honestly has no shame. He's back again, she thought. She didn't greet him. As the others sat at the table, Adam pulled his chair next to Daisy's. "Hi, Daisy," he said. "I came here especially to invite you for lunch, though it looks like I got a bit late." Daisy didn't respond to him. Emily jumped up immediately. "Mr. Adam, I'm going to buy you food. Please eat with us. I'm going to buy coffee," Mia followed. Adam nodded at them and then turned to Daisy. "Daisy, you are a bit mean. I came here twice and you didn't invite me to eat even once." Daisy said, "You are way richer than I am. What can I buy you?" "But I don't have a meal card here," Adam protested. "Besides, we are friends. Shouldn't we be polite to friends?" Daisy looked at him and said, "We are not friends." Adam's smile slipped for a moment, but the next minute it was back in place. "Why aren't you a friend? You have accepted all my presents." "What presents?" Daisy looked at him inexplicably. Adam stared at her, a wicked expression on his face. Daisy was still puzzled, but Lila suddenly realized, it turns out that the person who paid the bill yesterday was Mr. Adam. Daisy was shocked. If Adam bought them, why would Roman agree to take them? They are obviously not friends. Seeing Daisy's surprised look, Adam was also a little confused. "What? You don't know? He didn't tell you either?" he asked her. "I didn't know it was you," Daisy said, and then continued, "If I did, I wouldn't have accepted them." Then she took out her card. "Can I swipe for them? Do I look like a billing machine to you?" Adam laughed. Then he said, "Actually, you don't need to worry about it. I intended those gifts for you." "Forget about it. It's trivial. Those are worth thousands of dollars. How can it be a trivial matter?" Daisy looked at him. "I don't want to accept your gift." Adam was a little impatient. "Why are you being so stubborn?" he said, a bit agitated. What followed then was a long, awkward silence that no one dared break. Daisy sat there expressionless. Adam counted his breaths, trying to stay calm. It was broken by Emily bringing food to the table. "Mr. Adam, the meal is here. Coffee is here too," Mia followed. Adam, who wasn't in a very good mood, said, "Did I say I wanted to eat?" Emily's smile disappeared and she stammered, "You don't want to eat?" Mia immediately passed the coffee to him. "Then let's drink coffee." Adam remained silent with a sullen face. The atmosphere was still awkward. Daisy couldn't stand it anymore and muttered, "Buy it and don't eat it. Waste so much food." Adam looked at her and picked up the fork defiantly. "Who said I would waste it?" As if to prove his words, he stuffed the burger into his mouth. Daisy said, "You can eat slowly. No one will snatch it from you." The three gave a little laugh. Adam choked on a mouthful of noodles and couldn't speak. Emily hurriedly poured water for him, and Mia asked anxiously, "Mr. Adam, are you all right?" Adam didn't bother to answer. He took a glass of water and drank it. Then he lowered his head and went on eating. He told himself if went through these tiny insults, the big fish was waiting. He wasn't interested in this poor little girl. He wanted the man behind her. And Daisy was the one pawn that could lead him straight to Roman Spencer. Adam didn't care about anything else. He just wanted to witness the moment when Roman was destroyed. After lunch, Adam offered to take them shopping. He smiled at Emily. "You have treated me twice. It's only polite I take you shopping." Emily, who was feeling a bit intimidated by Adam's behavior, melted. "Of course, I am flattered," she blushed. "What class do you have now?" he asked. "We can go now," he offered. "Oh, nothing, it's art class. We can miss it," Emily said with a smile. "And you miss Mia?" Adam turned to her. "Sure, Mr. Adam," she blushed. Then he turned to Lila, who agreed with a smile. However wicked he was, Adam Miller sure had his charm. Daisy didn't want to miss art class, but Lila pushed her, and she didn't want Lila to go alone with this man, so she too reluctantly agreed. They went to the same shopping mall, and Adam bought everyone expensive gifts. He kept on insisting Daisy to get something, but she kept denying it. In the end, Adam decided to buy Daisy a pair of shoes along with Lila's dress. He went to the billing counter and took out his card. He never had any problem communicating with people, but when it came to Daisy, he became very aware of himself. Daisy, while billing the items, asked, "Mr. Adam, do you own this store?" Adam nodded. "I do. You don't need to mind the shoes at all. I'm glad I could help." "So, am I your charity case?" Daisy asked, offended at this brash comment. "No, you are a friend of Lila's, and I am glad I could help you out." Adam didn't want this act of his to reflect poorly on him when he was just trying to help her out. He wanted to be in her good books. That was the only important thing right now. Daisy looked at him. "Mr. Adam, I am not interested in you, and I hope you haven't misunderstood me." Adam wanted to tell her about him not being into her either if it had not been for Roman's sake. Why would he take an interest in such a goody two-shoes? He always kept his distance from naive, innocent girls. Adam, being born with a silver spoon, always got what he wanted. He was not new to playing tricks and getting dirty to get his business done, at least not until he met Daisy. He couldn't understand how she lived with such innocence in a cruel world like this. She was one of the very few to not fall for his looks and charm. Her innocence could not be mistaken for foolishness. He wished he could find a way to get to her. Daisy stood on the counter wondering about what just happened. She knew Adam was a rich, good-looking man, but she had already given her heart to Roman. Thinking of the Roman put a smile on her face when Mia asked her why she was smiling. She also noticed how Adam was all over Daisy and asked her, "Is there a reason why you turned down such an amazing man?" "I have no interest in him," Daisy told her. But her friend was not letting it go. "Really? Because if you don't want to date him, how about you set me up with him?" "I don't know him that well. He is just an acquaintance," Mia snorted. "Well, even if you did, we both know the chances of him marrying anyone other than some heiress is unlikely." Daisy wanted a break from all of this and asked if they all could go for a coffee. She needed to get back to college, focus on her studies, and close the conversation about Adam. They went to the food court and had coffee. As they were returning to college, some students saw her and made a snide comment about her luring rich guys in with her act of innocence. Daisy chose to ignore her and focused on the gossip Mia was telling her. Lila paced up and pulled Daisy with her, wanting to clear the air with her friend, and said anxiously, "Daisy, won't you even tell me? I'm your best friend. Do you have feelings for Adam?" Daisy threw a question at her. "If I have no money, will you still be my friend?" "Of course I will." "What made you think I won't?" Lila said. "A true friend is not measured by money. If you don't have money, I would still be your friend." Daisy hesitated for a moment, thinking if she should come clean or not, and said, "My family has no money." Lila was taken back a little and turned around to leave. When the college was over the next day, Daisy saw Ethan again and went up to him. Ethan heard her coming and hurried to his bicycle. Daisy felt strange, but she finally caught up to him. Taking a look at his bruised forehead and swollen jaw, she knew he had gotten himself into a fight with someone. Daisy asked in surprise, "Ethan, what's the matter with you?" Ethan squeaked, but said nothing left. At this moment, Daisy saw Roger leaning against the tree and smirking at her. Daisy's heart skipped a beat, and without thinking too much, she went over and questioned him. "Did you hit Ethan? You two love each other, don't you? He got beaten trying to take a stand for you, and here you are fighting for him. Such a shame. Did you hit him?" Daisy asked again. "So what?" Roger said disdainfully. "You want to stand up for him?" Lila dragged Daisy away and said in a low voice, "Roger is a bully, let's not mess with him." Daisy looked at Roger and said, "You are not a good person." "I am not at all," Roger said disapprovingly. "Why don't you just believe that I am an evil spawn?" Daisy was a little annoyed seeing the smug look on his face. She clenched her fists tightly, then let them go and said, "I won't hit you," and left. Roger blinked. Did this little girl want to hit him? Looking at her tiny figure slowly walking away, Roger couldn't help but laugh out loud. I've never seen someone so tiny put up such a fight. When Daisy came home to Roman, she was still seething. Seeing her in such a foul mood, he pulled her to his side and asked softly, "Why are you so angry?" You know Mr. Adam bought the shoes, right? She asked. Yes, he replied, but I said I would pay, right? It's not about money, Daisy said. It's just that you don't like him, so I don't like him either. I don't want his things. I'm not friends with him, but I can't stop you from being friends with him. To me, he is nothing but a business competitor, Roman said, when he noticed Daisy being uncomfortable talking about Adam. No, Daisy immediately shot him down. I'm on your side. I know, of course, you are on my side, Roman said, playing with her fingers. Just like John, he is also on my side, but he and Adam are still friends. Daisy looked at him suspiciously for a while and said, I don't care about Mr. John. If you don't like him, I don't like him either. Okay, if you don't like him, then you don't have to talk to him. I will make sure he is compensated for the shoes he bought you today. The weekend was finally here, and Roman wanted to sleep in, but his girl was used to getting up early. She woke up and wanted to sneak out of bed, but Roman pulled her back in and cuddled her in his arms. After a few hours of extra sleep, they got up and had their breakfast. Daisy then went to paint. Because of her teacher's encouragement, she became more and more interested in painting. Every day after college, she stayed back a few hours to learn painting from her teacher. Daisy sat in front of the drawing board, looking at the blank canvas. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and opened them again, casually picking up the brush. Time flew by, and a few hours later she was about to end her piece. Roman came knocking on the door with a plate full of cookies. That made her jump and grab herself a snack. Seeing her excited look, Roman became a little nervous and said, Be careful. Don't damage the fruits of my labor. Daisy looked at the neat rows of cookies on the plate and had an amazing idea to paint another one of her blank canvases. What do you want me to paint? She asked Roman, wanting to know his taste in art. Draw whatever you want, Roman said, as he rested his chin on Daisy's shoulder, waiting to see his little girl's masterpiece. Roman handed her the plate. Okay, take it and eat. I'll make some more. Daisy stuffed a mouthful of cookies and said vaguely, I'll help you out. No, you can stay and work on your paintings. This time Daisy followed the little book she had gotten from the library on the techniques of mastering the brush strokes and started working on her next painting from beginning to end. While studying and making the patterns, she had more ideas. Her inspiration gushed out like a spring, without even taking a break to think. She kept on going, breathing life into every idea in her head. Roman was very happy watching paint one piece after another. He never thought that there would be so much artistic potential in her brain. But what fascinated him even more was the way she was focused on her work. Every time she concentrated on one thing, her eyes shone with brilliance. Roman was once fascinated by this brilliance before it slowly penetrated his heart, bit by bit. While another batch of cookies was in the oven being baked, Roman poured himself a cup of coffee and a glass of juice for Daisy. The two of them sat at the dining table and ate while enjoying their time together. Daisy asked Roman, Can I give some to my friends? Of course, as long as you like it, do whatever makes you happy, Roman gently replied. Daisy blinked her bright doe eyes and leaned over the table to kiss Roman's face. She wanted to express her gratitude. Many times when she asked him similar questions, the man's answer was always to do what she wanted. She cherished him for giving her that. When the second batch of cookies came out of the oven, Daisy found 2 clean glass jars and stacked them on top of each other. Each layer was separated by butter paper and covered. Roman sat on the sofa, crossed his hands with a smile on his face, and watched the girl busy packing the cookies for her friends. Don't you want to keep some for yourself? I'll keep this. Daisy showed him the plate with 2 tiny cookies on it. That's it. Don't you want to eat some more? I already ate a lot. I'll keep it for fun, Daisy said with a smile. I don't want to eat it. Roman smiled. I will still make them even if you don't want to eat. This was so much fun. Next time would be better. Daisy shook her head, thinking they could do it next time, but maybe it won't be like this. Many things depend upon fate, just like her and Roman. Even if someone treats her better and spoils her more than Roman in the future, she can't help but think that the person will not be him. If she didn't end up with Roman, she did not want anyone else in her life. He was her soulmate and the love of her life. Not just the cookies, I also left you some cake. Anything else you want to eat? Roman asked. Daisy turned her head to look into the refrigerator, and there was an unfinished fruitcake in it. She took it out and had a bite of it, wondering if things between them would always remain the same or not.